filled with the pre-work rush of professionals grabbing lattes before heading to their offices. My sister Audrey sat across from me, her new engagement ring catching the light every time she gestured, which was often. "So I wanted to talk to you about the engagement party," she began, her tone carrying that careful quality that meant she'd rehearsed this conversation. "I'm Kennedy Wallace, 27 years old, and according to my family, I'm the sister who never quite found her path. While Audrey climbed the corporate ladder at a marketing firm and my brother Julian worked in investment banking, I'd been doing freelance consulting, their words creating an image of instability and struggle. The reality was different. I'm the founder and CEO of Wallace Strategic Solutions, a procurement and supply chain optimization firm serving mid-sized manufacturers across the Midwest. We manage $180 million in annual supplier contracts for our clients, generating $12 million in revenue through our optimization services. And one of our clients was about to become very relevant to this conversation. "The engagement party," I prompted, taking a sip of my coffee. "Yes. So, Garrett and I have been planning it and we want it to be really special. Just close friends and professional contacts. People who've been important to our journey, people who represent the life we're building together." Garrett Morrison, Audrey's fiancé of 3 weeks. Senior account manager at Morrison & Associates, a logistics consulting firm. I knew them well. They'd been one of my company's suppliers for 18 months, handling freight optimization for 3 of my manufacturing clients. "That sounds lovely," I said. "The thing is..." Audrey twisted her ring nervously. "Kennedy, you know I love you. But Garrett's inviting colleagues, potential clients, people who could be important to his career. And Mom and I were talking and we think it might be better if you didn't come to the party." I set down my coffee carefully. "You're disinviting me from your engagement party." "Not disinviting. We're just being selective about the guest list. It's not personal. It's just that Garrett's building his reputation and the optics matter. Everyone there will be successful, established professionals. Lawyers, consultants, executives. And you're freelance consulting," I finished. "Unsuccessful. Unstable. An embarrassment." "That's not what I said," Audrey protested, but her face flushed. "It's just that people will ask what you do, and freelance consulting sounds like unemployment with a better title. We don't want questions about why you're there, why you're not doing better, whether you need help finding a real job." "I see. Mom agrees it's for the best," Audrey continued. "She said you'd understand. You've always been understanding about these things. And it's just one party. You'll still be at the wedding, of course. This is just the professional networking event." "The engagement party is a professional networking event," I repeated. "For Garrett, yes. His boss will be there, potential clients, industry contacts. It's really important for his career. And having to explain why his future sister-in-law is underemployed would just create awkward conversations." My phone sat on the table between us. One call to my procurement director, Jennifer Martinez, and I could end Morrison & Associates contracts with Wallace Strategic Solutions. $2.1 million in annual business gone. 3 clients who relied on their freight optimization moved to competitors. But that would be petty. Vindictive. Using my business leverage to punish family for their ignorance. Then again, they were using their assumptions about my business to exclude me from family events. "Have you told Mom you're doing this?" I asked. "I called her this morning. She completely agrees. She actually suggested it. She said it would be uncomfortable for everyone, for you to be there around all these successful people, for us to have to explain your situation, for Garrett's colleagues to wonder why we invited someone who hasn't gotten their career together." "My situation," I echoed. "Kennedy, please don't make this harder than it is. You have to understand, Garrett's career is taking off. He just got promoted to senior account manager. His firm is growing. This party is crucial for making the right impression. And I would ruin that impression." "You'd complicate it," Audrey said carefully. "Look, when you get your career sorted out, when you land a real position somewhere, we'll celebrate that. But right now, at this moment, it's better if you sit this one out." I picked up my phone. "When is the party?" "Saturday night." "But Kennedy, you're not listening." "I heard you perfectly. You're disinviting me because you're embarrassed by my career. Or lack thereof, in your opinion." "I knew you'd be hurt," Audrey sighed. "But you have to see this from our perspective. Garrett works so hard and this party is his chance to shine. We can't have anything diminish that. I opened my contacts, found Jennifer's number. I need to make a call. Do you mind? No. We're in the middle of. I was already dialing. Jennifer answered on the second ring. Kennedy, good morning. What's up? I need you to terminate our contracts with Morrison and Associates. All 3 client accounts. Effective immediately. Silence. Then, Morrison and Associates? The logistics firm? Kennedy, they handle freight optimization for our 3 largest manufacturing clients. That's $2.1 million in annual contract value they manage for us. I'm aware. Terminate the contracts. Standard 30-day notice as per our agreements. Start identifying replacement suppliers today. Can I ask why? Has there been a performance issue I'm not aware of? Personal conflict of interest. I'll explain later. Just get the termination notices sent this morning. You're sure about this? Completely sure. Hey. I'll draft the notices now and send them within the hour. Should I copy you? Yes. And Jennifer? Make sure the notice goes to Garrett Morrison specifically. He's the senior account manager handling our accounts. Got it. Anything else? That's all. Thanks. I hung up. Audrey was staring at me with confusion. What was that about? Work, I said simply. Now where were we? Oh yes, you were explaining why I'm not successful enough to attend your engagement party. Kennedy, don't be dramatic. This isn't about success. It's about fit. It's about. My phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. Termination notices drafted and sent. Morrison and Associates will receive them in approximately 15 minutes. Garrett Morrison is listed as primary contact on all 3 accounts. He'll get the emails directly. I texted back. Perfect. Begin supplier replacement process. I want alternatives identified by end of week. Jennifer, already on it. For the record, this is going to cost Morrison and Associates roughly 40% of their current book of business. They're going to feel this. I'm aware, I typed. Audrey was still talking. And Garrett's boss will be there, and we just thought it would be easier if we didn't have to field questions about family members who haven't quite established themselves professionally. You understand, right? I understand that you think I'm a failure, I said. I understand that you're embarrassed by me. I understand that you value Garrett's professional reputation more than your relationship with your sister. That's not fair. What's not fair is making assumptions about someone's career without bothering to ask questions. What's not fair is excluding family from important events because they don't meet your standards of success. What's not fair is deciding someone's worth based on your perception of their employment status. Audrey's phone buzzed. Then buzzed again. And again. She glanced at it, frowning. That's Garrett. He's calling. You should probably answer it. She accepted the call. Hey honey, I'm still with Kennedy. Can I call you back? What? Slow down, I can't. What contract? What are you talking about? I sipped my coffee and waited. Wallace Strategic Solutions? Audrey repeated, her eyes finding mine across the table. What about them? They terminated what? All 3 accounts? But that's. Garrett, that's your biggest client. That's 40% of your book. How can they just. She listened, her face going progressively paler. Effective immediately? But there must be some mistake. They can't just cancel $2 million in contracts without cause. There has to be. What do you mean the notice says personal conflict of interest? What personal conflict? I watched her process it. Watched the pieces click into place. Watched her eyes widen as she looked at her phone screen, then at me, then back at her phone. Garrett, I need to call you back, she said quietly. Yes, I'm sure. I'll call you in 5 minutes. She hung up and stared at me. Wallace Strategic Solutions. That's your company. That's my company, I confirmed. Founded 5 years ago. We specialize in procurement and supply chain optimization for mid-sized manufacturers. Annual revenue last year was $11.7 million, projected to hit $14 million this year. We manage $180 million in supplier contracts on behalf of our clients. You own Wallace Strategic Solutions, she repeated numbly. I own it, I built it, and I run it. And Morrison and Associates has been one of our suppliers for 18 months. They've done good work for us, managing freight optimization across 3 of our client accounts. That's $2.1 million in annual contract value. Had, Audrey whispered. You said they had been one of your suppliers. Past tense, yes. As of about 10 minutes ago, we terminated all 3 contracts. Standard 30-day notice. We'll transition to alternative suppliers over the next month. Because of the engagement party. Because I disinvited you. Because you decided my career wasn't successful enough to be associated with your fiancé's professional network. I'm simply agreeing with that assessment and removing the professional association entirely. Audrey's phone was ringing again. Garrett. She declined the call. Kennedy, you can't do this. Garrett said Morrison and Associates gets 40% of their revenue from your contracts. This will destroy his numbers. His boss will blame him. He could lose his promotion, maybe even his job. That's unfortunate, I said. But I have to act in the best interests of my company. And continuing to do business with a supplier whose senior account manager is about to be my brother-in-law, when that brother-in-law's family has made it clear they're embarrassed by my professional status. That's a conflict of interest I can't ignore. This is revenge. You're punishing Garrett because I disinvited you. I'm protecting my business from a conflict of interest. If your fiancé's career prospects are damaged because he just lost a major client, well, that's just business. I'm sure you understand. After all, you understand that professional reputation matters, that optics are important, that sometimes personal relationships have to take a back seat to career success. I was using her own words and we both knew it. Please, Audrey said, and now there were tears forming. Please don't do this. Garrett has worked so hard. This promotion means everything to him. If he loses these accounts, he'll learn an important lesson about not letting family members make business decisions based on incomplete information. He'll learn to verify assumptions before acting on them. He'll learn that the unsuccessful sister-in-law might actually control more business than he realized. Her phone rang again. This time she answered. Garrett, I know. I'm talking to her now. Yes, it's my sister. Kennedy is. She owns Wallace Strategic Solutions. Pause. No, I didn't know. Nobody knew. She never told us she had. Yes, it's definitely because of the party. I'll try to fix it. Just give me. I stood up, gathering my bag. Tell Garrett that the decision is final. The termination notices have been sent, and we're already identifying replacement suppliers. If he wants to understand why, he can ask his fiancée to explain how she evaluates professional success. Kennedy, wait. I have a meeting with a new client in 20 minutes. Major manufacturing firm looking to optimize their entire supply chain. Could be worth $3 million in new contract management fees. You know, the kind of professional success that might be worthy of attending an engagement party. I walked out of the coffee shop, leaving my sister with her phone and her tears and the reality that the family failure she'd been embarrassed by actually controlled a significant portion of her fiancé's career prospects. My phone rang as I reached my car. Kennedy Marie Wallace, what have you done? Audrey just called me in hysterics. She says you canceled Garrett's biggest contracts because she disinvited you from the party. Tell me that's not true. It's not true, I said calmly. I didn't cancel Garrett's contracts because Audrey disinvited me. I canceled Wallace Strategic Solutions contracts with Morrison and Associates because continuing to do business with them represents a conflict of interest. That's semantics. That's business, Mom. You and Audrey decided I wasn't successful enough to be seen at a professional networking event. I'm simply agreeing with your assessment and removing the professional relationship that might have suggested otherwise. You're being petty and vindictive. This is family. Family that decided I was an embarrassment. Family that made business decisions, specifically excluding me from a business-focused event, based on assumptions about my career. I'm making a business decision in response. Seems fair. Garrett could lose his job over this. Then he should have asked more questions before letting his fiancée disinvite his biggest client CEO from family events. Due diligence matters in business, Mom. This is an expensive lesson in that principle. I could hear her breathing, could imagine her trying to find the right words to fix this. What do you want? She asked finally. What will it take to undo this? I want my family to stop assuming I'm unsuccessful because my career doesn't look like Julian's banking job or Audrey's marketing position. I want you to stop being embarrassed by me without bothering to understand what I actually do. I want to be valued for who I am, not dismissed for who you assume I'm not. We can do that, Mom said quickly. We'll apologize, we'll include you in the party, whatever you want. Just reinstate the contracts. The contracts are terminated. I've already begun the supplier replacement process. That decision is final regardless of whether I'm invited to the engagement party. Then this is just revenge. This is consequences, Mom. For years you've all treated my career like a joke. Like something to be hidden or explained away. You never asked what I actually do, what I've built, whether I'm successful. You just assumed failure and acted accordingly. Now you're learning that your assumptions were wrong and that those assumptions have costs. So you're going to ruin Garrett's career to make a point. I'm going to run my business according to sound principles, which includes avoiding conflicts of interest with suppliers whose families view my company as something to be ashamed of. If that impacts Garrett's career, that's unfortunate. But that's business. Mom was quiet for a long moment. Then, you've really built a $12 million company? We'll hit $14 million this year if projections hold. And yes, I really built it. 5 years ago, starting with 2 clients and a lot of determination. Now we serve 15 manufacturing firms across 6 states. Why didn't you tell us? Because every time I tried to talk about my work, you changed the subject or offered advice about finding a real job. Eventually, I stopped trying to convince you and just focused on building the business. And now you're using that business to hurt your family. No, Mom. I'm protecting that business from a family that couldn't see its value until it affected them personally. There's a difference. I hung up before she could respond. That evening, Audrey texted, Garrett's boss wants a meeting tomorrow. They're panicking about losing the Wallace accounts. Please reconsider. I'm sorry for disinviting you. I was wrong about everything. I typed back, I accept your apology. And you're still welcome at my office if you ever want to understand what I actually do. But the business decision stands. I need suppliers I can trust, and I can't trust a firm whose account manager is marrying into a family that's embarrassed by my success. The engagement party happened on Saturday. I didn't attend, not because I wasn't invited, but because Audrey had called to say they'd postponed it indefinitely. Garrett's boss had put him on a performance improvement plan after losing the Wallace accounts. The celebration didn't feel appropriate. Instead, I spent Saturday closing a deal with that new manufacturing client. $3.2 million in annual contract management fees. Brought our projected revenue for the year to $15.8 million. Success, it turns out, doesn't require an audience. It just requires focus, determination, and the willingness to walk away from people who can't see your worth. Even when those people are family. Especially when those people are family. Required 3 months' notice and a member referral. Crystal chandeliers, leather booths, waiters in white gloves, and a wine list thicker than most novels. My parents loved it here. It screamed old money, prestige, exclusivity, everything they valued. Tonight was their 30th wedding anniversary. Just family. Me, my sister Vanessa, and our parents. Intimate and elegant, exactly how Mom wanted it. I arrived exactly on time, 7 p.m. Vanessa was already there, wearing a designer dress that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary, her engagement ring catching the light every time she moved her hand. He did that a lot. The hand thing. Making sure everyone saw the 3-carat diamond her fiancé Brandon had given her. Harper, she said when she saw me, her voice dripping with false sweetness. It actually came. I thought you'd be too busy with your little projects. Wouldn't miss it, I replied, sliding into the booth. Mom and Dad arrived moments later, both dressed impeccably. Dad in a tailored suit, Mom in pearls and silk. They looked like they'd stepped out of a country club catalog. Happy anniversary, I said, standing to hug them. Thank you, darling, Mom said, but her eyes were already scanning my outfit. Simple black dress, minimal jewelry, no designer labels. I could see the disappointment flicker across her face. You look comfortable. Translation, you look poor. We ordered drinks. Champagne for everyone except me. I ordered water. Vanessa noticed immediately. Not drinking, Harper? Trying to save money? She laughed like it was a joke, but there was an edge to it. Just prefer to stay clear-headed, I said. Of course. You always were the serious one. No fun. Vanessa sipped her champagne. Brandon and I just got back from the Maldives. 2 weeks at a private resort. It was absolutely divine. Have you ever been to the Maldives, Harper? No. Oh. Well, you should go sometime. When you can afford it. Another laugh. Another reminder. Dad cleared his throat. So, Vanessa tells us the wedding planning is going well. June wedding at the Botanical Gardens, correct? Yes, Daddy. It's going to be perfect. Brandon's parents are flying in their friends from Europe. We're expecting about 300 guests. Vanessa turned to me. You're still coming, right, Harper? I know it might be hard for you to take time off work, but family is important. I'll be there, I said quietly. The appetizers arrived. Oysters, caviar, imported cheese. Dad ordered a $400 bottle of wine. The conversation flowed around me. Vanessa's wedding, Brandon's promotion, the vacation home Dad was considering buying in Aspen. Harper, you've been quiet, Mom said, dabbing her lips with a napkin. How's work? It's good, I said. Still doing that tech thing? Dad asked vaguely. Software development, yes. You didn't sound interested. Well, it's good you have a steady job. Not glamorous, but steady. Vanessa jumped in. Brandon's company just landed a huge contract with a pharmaceutical company. He's being fast-tracked to partner. At 32. Can you imagine? That's wonderful, Mom beamed. What about you, Harper? Vanessa asked with mock curiosity. Any big promotions? Raises? Or are you still just coding? Still coding, I confirmed. Well, someone has to do it, I suppose. Vanessa exchanged a look with Mom that I wasn't supposed to see but did. The main course arrived. Wagyu beef, lobster tail, truffle risotto. The kind of meal that cost more than some people's weekly grocery budget. I ate slowly, savoring the food while half listening to Vanessa dominate the conversation with wedding details, honeymoon plans, and the house she and Brandon were building in the suburbs. Then came dessert. Creme brulee, chocolate soufflé, a cheese plate. And with dessert came the announcement I hadn't been expecting. Dad set down his wine glass and cleared his throat. Your mother and I wanted to talk to you both about something important tonight. Vanessa perked up. I stayed quiet. As you know, we set up trust funds for both of you when you were born, Dad continued. Harper, yours was set to mature when you turned 25. That was 6 years ago. I remember, I said. You cashed it out almost immediately. $1.2 million, gone in a matter of months. Dad's tone was disapproving. We were disappointed, Harper. That money was supposed to be your foundation, your security. We don't know what you spent it on, but it's gone now. I said nothing. Vanessa, however, has been more responsible, Mom added, smiling at my sister. She's kept her trust fund intact, invested it wisely, and demonstrated real financial maturity. Vanessa preened. So we've made a decision, Dad announced. We're restructuring the trusts. Vanessa, yours will remain as planned. But Harper, we're reallocating your remaining inheritance to your sister. She's proven she can handle it. She's achieved something. She's getting married, building a life, doing things the right way. The table went silent. Vanessa's smirk was barely concealed. Mom nodded approvingly. Dad watched me, waiting for a reaction. We're giving your trust fund to your sister, Dad said again, slower this time, like I hadn't understood. She actually achieved something. Well, you had your chance. I set down my fork carefully, took a sip of water, and smiled. Hey, I said. Dad blinked. Okay? That's all you have to say. What would you like me to say? I thought you'd be upset, Mom said, looking almost disappointed that I wasn't crying or begging. Why would I be upset about money that doesn't exist anymore? I asked calmly. Because it was yours, Vanessa said, unable to hide her satisfaction. And now it's mine. Because I'm responsible and you're not. I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, turned the screen toward them. I'm not upset because this is my actual bank account. 3 faces leaned in to look. The number on the screen, $67,349,284.33. Mom gasped audibly. That's 67 million? Give or take a few $100,000, I said. It fluctuates daily based on market performance. Dad grabbed the phone from my hand, staring at the screen like it might be a trick. This can't be real. This is fake. You edited this somehow. It's real, I said. The trust fund you're talking about? The $1.2 million I cashed out at 18? I invested it. Started a software company. Sold it 4 years later for $8.3 million. Then I started another company. Sold that one for $23 million. Then I started a third company which I still own. It's currently valued at $94 million and I hold 62% of the shares. The table was completely silent. Vanessa's face had gone white. You're lying. Am I? I took my phone back and opened my investment portfolio. Here's my stock holdings. Here's my real estate portfolio. I own 4 commercial properties and 6 residential. Here's my business valuation from last quarter. Would you like to see my tax returns? I paid $8.2 million in taxes last year. Why didn't you tell us? Mom whispered, her hand at her throat. I tried, I said simply. Multiple times. 4 years ago when I sold my first company, I invited you to dinner to celebrate. Dad, you said you were busy with a golf tournament. Mom, you said you had a charity luncheon. Vanessa, you said you had plans with Brandon. That's not, Vanessa started. 3 years ago when I started my second company, I invited you to the launch party. None of you came. Dad said it was nice that I had a hobby. Mom asked when I was going to get a real job. Vanessa told her friends I worked in IT support. Dad's face was red now. You should have insisted. Made us listen. I did, I said calmly. I sent you all quarterly updates about my companies. Financial reports. Growth projections. None of you ever responded. Not once. So I stopped trying. This is insane, Vanessa said, her voice rising. If you're so rich, why do you dress like that? Why do you live in that tiny apartment? Why don't you have a nice car? I dress comfortably because I work from home most days. I live in a 1,200 square foot apartment because I don't need more space and it's in a great location. I drive a hybrid because it's fuel efficient and reliable. I paused. I don't need to perform wealth, Vanessa. I actually have it. Mom was crying now, mascara starting to run. Harper, honey, we didn't know. You have to understand, we had no idea. You had no idea because you never asked, I said. Every conversation was about Vanessa's accomplishments. Vanessa's wedding. Vanessa's life. I was just the other daughter. The disappointing one who cashed out her trust fund and probably wasted it on something frivolous. What did you want us to think? Dad demanded. You took $1.2 million and disappeared with it. I invested it, I said firmly. And I tripled it within 6 years. Then I turned that into tens of millions. I built 3 successful companies. I employ 87 people. I pay their healthcare, their retirement, their salaries. I've created something real and sustainable. But none of that mattered to you because I didn't do it the way you expected. Vanessa found her voice again, sharp and defensive. So what, you're just going to sit there and make us feel bad? Rub your money in our faces. No, I said. I'm going to tell you something you need to hear. That trust fund you're giving to Vanessa? The one you think I wasted? I stopped caring about it the moment I realized I could build something bigger on my own. I don't need your money. I never did. I just needed you to see me. We do see you, Mom said desperately. No, you don't. You see what I'm showing you right now because it's undeniable. But you've never seen me. You've never asked about my work, my goals, my life. You decided I was the unsuccessful daughter and never questioned it. Dad leaned back in the booth looking 10 years older suddenly. I don't know what to say. There's nothing to say, Dad. You made your decision. Give Vanessa my trust fund. He's welcome to it. I have everything I need. I picked up my water glass. But there's something else you should know. They all stared at me. That trust fund you're reallocating? The one still in the family accounts. I've been managing your entire investment portfolio for the last 3 years. Mom's eyes went wide. What? Remember when you said your financial advisor retired and the firm assigned you a new one? That was me. Well, my company. Baker Financial Management. I bought the firm 2 years ago specifically because they managed your accounts. I wanted to make sure you were taken care of. You've been managing our money? Dad's voice was hoarse. Yes. Your retirement accounts, your investments, everything. The returns you've seen over the last 3 years? That was my strategy. Your portfolio value has increased by 47% since I took over. You're about to retire very comfortably because of investments I made on your behalf. Vanessa looked like she might be sick. Why would you do that? Because regardless of how you see me, you're still my family, I said. I wanted to make sure you were secure. That mom and dad could retire without worry. That their money worked for them. Harper. Mom reached for my hand, but I pulled back gently. I need you to understand something, I said. I don't need your approval anymore. I don't need your validation. I built my success without your support, and I'll continue to build it regardless of whether you ever acknowledge it. But I wanted you to know on your anniversary that the daughter you dismissed has been taking care of you this whole time. I stood up, pulling my coat from the back of the booth. Where are you going? Dad asked. Home. I have a board meeting in the morning. We're finalizing a merger that's going to expand my company into 3 new markets. I placed my napkin on the table. Dinner was lovely. Happy anniversary. Harper, please, Mom begged. We need to talk about this. We need to. No, we don't, I said gently. You made it very clear tonight where I stand in this family. You were prepared to give away my inheritance without even talking to me about it first. You announced it like it was a done deal, like I had no say, like I didn't matter. That tells me everything I need to know. We made a mistake, Dad said, standing up. A terrible mistake. Please sit back down. Let's talk. We've been talking for 31 years, Dad. You just haven't been listening. I picked up my phone. For what it's worth, Vanessa, congratulations on your wedding. I hope you and Brandon are very happy together. And enjoy the trust fund. Consider it a wedding gift. I don't want it now, Vanessa said quietly, tears streaming down her face. Not like this. Too late, I said. You were perfectly happy to take it 5 minutes ago when you thought I was broke. Nothing's changed except what you know about me. And that says everything. I walked toward the exit of the Sterling Club. Behind me, I heard Mom crying, Dad calling my name, Vanessa saying something I couldn't quite hear. But I didn't turn around. The valet brought my car around. My unremarkable hybrid that was paid off and perfectly functional. I got in and drove home to my tiny apartment with the view of the harbor and the home office where I'd built a multi-million-dollar empire. My phone started ringing before I even pulled out of the parking lot. Mom, please come back. We can fix this. Dad, I looked up your company. Harper, I had no idea. I'm so sorry. Vanessa, I feel sick. I don't want the trust fund. I don't want any of it. And one text from Brandon, Vanessa's fiancé, who'd apparently been briefed. Holy shit, you're that Harper Baker? The tech entrepreneur? Vanessa never told me. What the hell? I turned my phone to silent and drove home. When I got to my apartment, I poured a glass of wine and sat on my balcony, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, my family was probably still at the Sterling Club, trying to process what had just happened. Trying to reconcile the daughter they'd dismissed with the woman who'd been quietly succeeding beyond their wildest expectations. My phone buzzed with a call. Not my family this time. My CFO. Harper, the Morgan deal just closed. We're officially expanding to the West Coast. Congratulations, boss. Thanks, David. Good work. Are you okay? You sound off. Family dinner, I said. Say no more. He paused. For what it's worth, you've built something incredible here. Don't let anyone make you forget that. I won't, I promised. After I hung up, I looked at the messages flooding my phone. 23 from Mom. 15 from Dad. 37 from Vanessa. All of them desperate. All of them apologetic. All of them suddenly seeing me for the first time. But here's the thing about finally being seen. Sometimes it comes too late. Sometimes people only value you when they realize what you're worth. And that's not love. That's not respect. That's just recognition of utility. I'd spent 31 years trying to earn their approval. Trying to prove I was enough. And I'd done it. I'd exceeded every possible measure of success. Built companies. Made millions. Created jobs. Managed their investments. Taken care of them even when they couldn't be bothered to take care of me. And the moment they found out. The moment they realized I wasn't the failure they'd believed I was. They wanted back in. But I was done performing. Done proving. Done shrinking myself to fit their expectations. I opened my laptop and looked at the investor reports for my company. Growth projections showing another 40% increase next year. 3 acquisition offers we were considering. A product launch that would revolutionize our industry. This was real. This was mine. And this was enough. I didn't need a trust fund. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need them to see me. Because I'd finally learned to see myself. And what I saw was worth $67 million and climbing. The trust fund they'd tried to take away? It was nothing. The life I'd built without them? Everything.